Welcome to Enlit Europe. Today we'll be talking to Aleksandra Zarzycka from Royal Hospital DHV about the energy transition in Poland. Welcome, Aleksandra.
Thank you.
My first question is, now there's an overarching policy framework by the EU, obviously the European Green Deal, the Fit for 55 package, the most recent the Repower EU package. How is it looking for Poland in terms of the national targets? What are the goals that you set out?
Yeah, so the scope of energy transition in Poland is much wider and more expensive than for an average European Union country. This is mostly due to the historical conditions and the fact that a lot of energy mix is powered by coal. That also means that we need a very strong strategic document. What we have is called PEP 2040, which is an abbreviation from Polish, and this document defines strategy until the year 2040. However, it comes from February 2021, and recently a lot has changed. So with the invasion of Russia on Ukraine, Poland realized that we need to update this document. We need to add a new pillar, which will be energy independence. What is more is with the limited supply and increasing prices of energy commodities, and also with the sharpening of the ambitions from European Union and Repower EU, like you said, our targets are no longer valid. So this document will be updated. It will happen at the end of this year, so end 2022, beginning 2023. So yeah, we expect a sharpening of the ambition. Poland also realized that we need to stop with fossil fuels. We need to become less dependent on them. The ambition includes the construction of a nuclear power plant. It is set to be operational in 2033, and then subsequent units every 2 to 3 years until the capacity of 6 to 9 gigawatt is reached. So that means that 15% of the energy mix in 2040 will be nuclear power. 40% will be coming from renewable energy sources, and the remaining 45% from conventional sources such as coal and lignite.
Interesting, because to my knowledge, Poland doesn't have a nuclear power plant currently. Do you think it's realistic that by 2033 there's going to be one in the country?
Yeah, that will be quite challenging. First of all, it will require an update in policy in the political framework to prepare for specifications of a nuclear power. Second of all, there is a scarcity of these kind of plants operating in the world, and also the lack of social support from the Polish people, which is stemming from the disaster in Chernobyl. On the other hand, there has been some development. For example, the location has been selected. There are talks at this moment with the American supplier. And we actually have quite a special situation in the government where majority of the parties are in favor of nuclear power plant. So a lot is still uncertain, but it seems like we're on track to make it happen.
That sounds good. I wonder, how is Poland doing with the targets on lowering emissions? Are they on track given stringent EU policy goals?
Yeah, so even though we're still heavily fossil fuel based, the carbon intensity of the electricity and heat production is actually steadily decreasing since 1988 and so between 1988 and 2020. So we can say more or less within my lifetime, the greenhouse gas emissions went down by 47% and 20% in the last decade alone. That means that we are overperforming on our targets set by the international community. If we look at the end of 2021, 15% of electricity in the mix came from renewables. The biggest share came from onshore wind, the second biggest was coming from biomass and biogas, and the third from photovoltaics. The development of solar power is really going high. This is mostly, especially in the prosumer energy, and this is really stimulated by the governmental program, which is called Mój Prąd, which can be translated to My Electricity. Thanks to this, in the last 1.5 years, the prosumer installations have tripled in Poland, making Polish market one of the fastest growing for photovoltaics in European Union. that we also are overachieving on our strategy and our ambition for photovoltaics. At this moment, by May this year, we have installed 10 gigawatts of solar power, and in our ambition, we were aiming to achieve this in 10 years from now, achieving 16 gigawatt in 2040. So we're 10 years ahead of schedule and still growing fast.
Very ambitious. I wonder how the situation is looking like for wind power.
So Poland has a comprehensive and well-designed offshore wind strategy, which resulted in deals of 5.9 gigawatt that are gonna come online in 2027, reaching reaching 19 gigawatt in 2040. The recent study from European Commission showed that the potential for offshore wind in the Baltic Sea is really high. It can be as high as 90 gigawatt in the year 2050, and of that part, 28 gigawatt is in the Polish part of the Baltic Sea. So that is also one of the top priorities of the PEP 2040 to invest in offshore wind. On the other hand, the onshore wind is going a little bit slower than expected. And this can be attributed to the 10H rule, which doesn't let you build a windmill closer than 10 times the height of the turbine from houses or from a nature-protected area, which pretty much stopped most of the developments in the recent years. At this moment, this rule is going to be updated, and we will look at the impact that the turbine makes, and there will be a minimum distance from the houses. This distance, everybody was hoping for 500 meters. Recently, the talks are about 750 meters, so that will again slow down the process. However, there's a chance that it will pick up, but it's not going as fast as we would have liked to.
Regulatory barriers, I see, are still present. My last question is: what's the next steps for Poland? What are you looking forward to in terms of energy policy?
First of all, I think we should reconsider the timeline for phasing out coal, because at this moment, like I mentioned before, in 2040, still 45% is coming from traditional sources. So that's the first thing. Second of all, of course, the grid has to be modernized, especially the connection north-south. First of all, because of the offshore wind in the north of the country, but also the location of the nuclear power plant is also going to be in the north, while the biggest industry in Poland is located in the south. So there's quite a big distance that has to be covered and that has to be modernized. And lastly, the regulatory framework needs to be revised to increase the competition on the energy market price, to ensure a level playing field for all market participants, to strengthen the position of the consumer, and to encourage the open markets for new investors and technologies.
Thank you for your insights, Aleksandra. Thank you for watching, and be sure to join the Enlit community.